A common misconception is that you need to be the smartest in the room or you need to know it all in order to stand out in tech. But that's not necessarily the case. It can be as simple as putting certain habits in place in order to help you stand out. And these habits don't need to be anything complicated. You don't need to be the most technically knowledgeable person. It's just about doing the right things in the right way. Today, I'm going to share 7 habits with you that help make you stand out in tech and help further progress your career. They will help make you a better engineer, a better teammate, and especially if you're early in your career, just a better person to work with. Some are about mindset, some are about workflow, some are about communication. I'm going to bring all of these tips and share them with you today. Hey, I'm Becca. I'm a full-time software engineer, part-time Pilates instructor, and someone with multiple different interests and different passions. I love sharing bits of my life, insights into my career, tips on productivity, and everything in between. So if you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Let's start with mindset. The mindset of thinking of your future self and your future teammates. It's a simple habit that helps improve your code today, helps make things easier for you in the future and for anyone who's going to work with your code in the future. So when you're writing code, always think, will this make sense if I come back to it in 6 months' time? Will it still be readable? Will it be scalable? Will it be difficult to work with and hard to understand? Or will it be easy to test? Will it be easy to extend from? And think about also people coming to view your code for the first time in 6 months or however long. Will they be able to extend it, work on it, debug it, review it? All of those things, you want to leave your code in a state that is easy and allows people to do those things with. This makes you put a lot more thought into your code readability and your code quality from today. For example, it makes you think about good naming of things, naming variables in the correct, clear way. It makes you think about consistent styling and formatting. It makes you think about the overall code quality and how readable is it. It makes you think about all of the good coding principles that you need to have good quality code. So you always want to write your code in a way that makes it easier to understand later on. And especially for those people that are coming to your code for the first time, whether they're new to the code base or they just haven't worked with that section before, you always want to leave it in a state that is easy to understand for them. This translates to making it a lot more enjoyable for other people to review your work or continue on from something that you've started previously. It makes it a lot more enjoyable for people to want to work with code that you've worked on, and they trust your process, they trust your code a lot more. They know that you will leave things in a good state, and that's so important because it builds that reputation around you and it makes you someone that other people want to work around. The next habit that will take you really far in tech is being resourceful. So you don't need to know the answer to everything because, first of all, that's actually impossible, but also because no one expects that of you. They just expect you to know how to find things out. So when you come across something new or unfamiliar, you're not expected to have the answer straight away, but you're expected to go away, figure things out, and use the tools around you to get to the answer. So for example, looking through the code base to see how similar things were solved previously, looking through old PRs to see a history of commits or any issues that may have occurred, using Slack channels to communicate with others to figure out if this is an issue other people are going through, using your teammates around you, maybe looking into documentation, using all of the tools around you, the logs, Kibana, using everything you can to build up all of this evidence and all of this research to help you get to the answer. Maybe it's about collaborating with other people, people that are more experienced or closer to the problem, or whoever that might be, anyone who can help you in this scenario. Maybe it's about running your own tests to see if you can replicate certain issues or do more investigation. Whatever it is, you need to kind of pick from all of these different areas, all of these different resources to get you to the answer. And that is a big role of a software engineer. So you're not just expected to do a few lines of code and then move on. You're expected to be able to handle all of these different things and essentially problem solve. That's what an engineer does. And thinking like this actually helps you out because it removes a lot of the pressure that you might put on yourself, because you may be thinking, I don't know how to solve this, I should know this, I should know what I'm doing. And this can make you more stressed and less able to think clearly. But when you take a step back and realize that you're not expected to know everything and you are not expected to figure it out straight away, that's where the solutions come. And that's where you're able to think more clearly and think more like a problem solver. And this will lead to better solutions, better thought out solutions that aren't rushed. If you go into problems with the mindset of, I don't know what's happened, but I'm going to figure this out, you will lead to much better outcomes and much better quality code. And resourcefulness works even better when it's paired with curiosity. Curiosity sounds like it's something really simple, but it can take you to the next level so much quicker. Engineers who are curious are the best types of engineers. And in my opinion, they're the people that learn the fastest, grow the fastest, and progress the fastest. So they're the types of engineers that are always asking, why has this happened? Or how does this work? Or how has this happened? Why do things work this way? And they're always thinking about the reasons behind things. They're not just accepting facts at face value. They're digging deeper and doing the research behind it. They actually want to know the reasons behind things. So for example, when debugging, maybe they're figuring out the root cause instead of just finding a temporary fix. They're figuring out how they can prevent problems like this from happening in the future. Maybe they're the types of engineers who are always questioning what can be done in the future to make things a lot simpler. Or how can we do things in a different way that would make our lives easier? Maybe they're always reading into other concepts. Maybe they're doing that further research just because they're interested in a topic. Or maybe they're asking extra questions like, what does this affect? Or what impact does this have on other services, on other teams? And they're constantly asking different questions and asking why. If you do this, it makes you much better at debugging. It makes you better at designing solutions. It makes you better at problem solving, at figuring things out. And it also makes you so much more adaptable for the future, because we all know that technology is changing so fast. So you need to always stay curious. You need to always be learning and figuring things out as new things crop up and tech changes and work processes change. Staying curious, I think, is the key to a long career in tech. And personally, I think that if you are interested in learning new things, it makes your work so much more enjoyable. Next is a simple habit that prevents mistakes from happening before they actually happen. And it's about testing your assumptions or writing down your assumptions as early as possible. Now, not everyone does this, so if you do, I really think it will put you ahead and it will save you so much time in the long run. So when you get given a ticket or a new feature to code, a lot of people will jump straight into the code. And this is where they go wrong, because when you jump straight into the code, you're doing it without thinking beforehand, without assessing the whole situation, and without getting the priorities right. So sometimes what can happen is you get deep into the code and maybe a few hours or a few days later, you realize that things either aren't working as expected or you're not fulfilling the requirements in the way that is expected, or you're going off on a tangent from what the product manager expected or the company expected. And this means you've wasted a lot of time. It either means that you have to go back and redo it, or you have to spend hours having different conversations, or in some way you have to try and sort it out. And that's not an outcome that anyone wants. It will put you in a much better position if you take the time at the start, even if it feels like it's slowing you down initially. It will speed up things and make the process much smoother in the long term. So taking the time at the start to really sit down, assess the problem, writing out a plan, maybe sketching diagrams, breaking things down, and really understanding the problem and having that communication with everyone in the team, with your product manager, with product people, technical people, making sure everyone is on the same page. Then once you've got a clearer idea of what the problem is and what needs to be solved for yourself, you can have those discussions with your seniors or tech leads or whoever you might need to have a discussion with. And from there, that's where you can start working on the code. This makes you look a lot more prepared, a lot more thoughtful, and it leads to better quality code because you're doing the right work from the start. You're not doing wasted work. You're not being unreliable. You're not kind of ruining people's view of you and your work. You're putting that image out there from the start that you're reliable, you know what you're doing, you're prepared, you're thoughtful, you think things through, and all of these great qualities. So I think having that planning stage at the start will really set you apart as an engineer. Now, let's talk about communication. So once you know your assumptions, the next step is being able to communicate them clearly. Or once you've done the work, the next step is being able to communicate the new features to whoever needs to know about it. And if you can master the skill of communication and how you interact with others, how you relay information, how you teach other people, this will set you apart from other engineers by so much. And I think it's because there are a lot of technical people that aren't great at the communication side of things. So if you can work on this skill, I'd say that it is one of the most important things to help you stand out. And one aspect of communication is being able to communicate clearly through messages, especially now as we work very remotely a lot of the time. We want to be able to communicate clearly via message. So you want context-rich messages. You want to give everyone the context they need to be able to understand the work and understand where you're coming from. So a lot of messages you see are very short, don't provide much information or much context. This makes work a lot harder for people on both sides. It means that clarification is needed. It means that extra questions are asked and it slows down the process. So for example, if you're sending someone a PR or you're asking someone for help on something, you want to provide as much context as possible so they can help you in the best way. So for example, a good message might look something like describing what the issue is, describing what you've tried so far, describing what logs or error messages you're getting, maybe what side effects it's happening, what teams it's affecting, what different parts of the business or what code bases it's affecting. Maybe you want to send extra links or screenshots or any information you can gather that will help the other person and will help the process be much more smooth. And here I'm talking about messages, but the same thing applies to in-person communication or calls over Zoom or video, whatever video platform you're using. You want to give as much detail and as much clarity as you can. This makes everything go much faster and it saves everyone so much time. So it really helps you stand out as a developer. Another habit that your teammates all notice and reviewers notice and that really makes you stand out is going through a checklist on your own before submitting a PR. So before submitting a PR or a pull request to someone else, you want to make sure that all of the basics are covered, because the most annoying thing is receiving a PR to review and finding that the basics are not covered, and no one wants to deal with that. So before you send anything, in your own mind, in your own time, go through a little checklist. So have you got all the test coverage done? Have you got a description on your PR? Have you formatted everything correctly? Have you done all of the checks that you need in order to be able to have this reviewed by someone else without them having to ask follow-up questions? Is all of the context there, and is it all clear? If they can't figure that out easily from the work and the stuff that you've provided them, they're going to have to do a lot of extra work and a lot of digging around to find the JIRA ticket, for example, maybe find any documentation explaining what the context of this ticket is, or they might have to keep coming back to you to ask for follow-up questions. And no one wants to do that. No one wants to chase you, and no one wants to spend double the amount of time than they need to get the task done. If you make sure you give that context, you write clean code, you don't have stray comments left in the code or formatting issues or all of those other things, it makes your reviewer's life so much easier, and it makes them want to work with you again in the future. Finally, let's talk about sharing knowledge. So I really recommend proactively sharing knowledge as you learn it. So whether that's on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, sharing what you learn to your team or to people you work with can help you stand out a lot more than you think. As engineers, like I said before, we're always learning new things. Tech is constantly evolving. Whether you've come across something new in your day-to-day work, or whether you've read an article, or whether you've seen something on social media that's taught you something new, sharing that knowledge with others can do so much good for you and for your team. Lots of people encounter new things all the time in their job or within tech, but that information often stays in their head. Or maybe it's between them and some other person that they're pairing with or that they're working alongside, but it doesn't go any further than that. And I really think this is a missed advantage for all of the people around you. I think that the engineers who grow quickly are the ones who are in constant communication with others and who are always sharing the knowledge that they have and who are always willing to help other people. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be just a simple message in your Slack channel or a simple comment within a stand-up or any other relevant meeting. And I think also that, especially when you're early in your career, it can sometimes feel as if you have nothing valuable to share because you assume that everyone else already knows it, or no one else would be interested in learning from someone who is less experienced than them. But as I said before, no one knows everything, and there will always be different bits of information that different people come across no matter what your level is. So you don't need to be the most experienced person in the room. I think it's just great to be able to be open about what you're learning and the different things that you can share along the way. And I really think this will open up loads of new conversations and will put you as someone who cares about the growth of other people in your team as well. And I really think that this can get you far. So those are 7 habits that help you stand out in tech based around your communication, your workflow, and your mindset. I really do believe if you start incorporating those habits, even just some of them, into your routine, you'll see a lot of growth in terms of your own personal development, but also a difference in how people work with you and how people perceive you as well. If you found these habits helpful, don't forget to let me know in the comments, and I'll leave my links in the description box below. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll hopefully see you next time.